Once again on the storm, we have the lovely and brilliant Kim Horcher from Nerd Alert.
Hey, Cenk. Do you like my shirt?
Oh, I love that shirt. You see, it fits Nerd Alert because you guys talk about superheroes.
Right.
And then the TYT network. I get it.
You can buy it on shoptyt.com. Oh, funny. Let's get to the storm. Someone named Sydney Leathers asks, scale of 1 to 10, how much does Cenk love me? JK, who would be his ideal candidate for 2016?
Well, I know you're JKing Sydney, but you know, since I interviewed you, that before the interview I was a little skeptical that you felt that Anthony Weiner had tricked you. And that you had to reveal it to the world, but you were very honest during the interview. So now my feelings are neutral towards you. Am I not merciful? Okay, now to your question of who would be the ideal candidate in 2016. Look, changing the law so that we can get money out of politics is more important than that, but you know that. So if I had to name people, I would say Elizabeth Warren, Alan Grayson. Brian Schweitzer's a little interesting. Interesting. I'm listening. All right, next.
Tatiana Montano asks, I look up to the Young Turks during my college years. Who did you look up to when you were in college?
Well, when I was in college, I was a Republican, so George H.W. Bush.
Ooh.
Oh, devastating. No, I didn't look up to him. I did vote for him, though, which is devastating enough. Anyway, probably Howard Stern. Isn't that funny? I used to listen to Howard all the time, thought he was the best talk show host in the country, which he probably still is. And so if I had to pick a name, probably him. But overall, macro in life, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. I used to listen to his speeches even when I was a 10-year-old. All right, next.
Jordan Patrick asks, are there any memorable stories in which you've changed your mind or opinion because of viewer comments and feedback?
Absolutely. There's a bunch, but I'll use the example I've given before, which is the estate tax. Somebody called in back when we were a radio show and said, hey, listen, you're thinking about it all wrong because I kept thinking that it's double taxation. Well, I mean, I already earned that money. I should be able to give it to my kids, and that doesn't, because I already paid taxes on it. Why am I going to have to pay taxes on it again? And they made a very good point, which was that you're not paying taxes on it. Your kids are, right? And they've never paid taxes on it. It's a gift to them. And so, for example, Conrad Hilton earned the money for the Hilton family. Paris Hilton didn't earn any of that money. So when she gets that inheritance, it makes sense that she gets taxed on that inheritance. And I was like, that is such a devastatingly good point. I now changed my mind. Okay, so you guys did that. All right, next.
I think she lost her inheritance, by the way. Base9 Wario asks, you're a pro wrestling fan. Who are, sorry I messed that one up, who's your favorite wrestler? Zzz.
Okay. I'm super old school, so I'm going to disappoint you a little bit with my answer, I suspect, because you might not even remember him. The Rock. You're thinking, wait a minute, we all know The Rock. No, not that Rock. Don The Rock Morocco, the original Rock, okay? That guy was my favorite growing up. Of course, I love Jimmy Superfly Snuka too, but there isn't anyone. I mean, I loved Rowdy Piper. I loved all those guys. The Iron Sheik, he can't put you in a camel clutch. How are you going to get out of that? Only one person's ever gotten out of that. The Hulkster. Okay, next.
Bryce Bender asks, how do I convince people that Wolfpack isn't a left or right issue? It's an issue of saving democracy for everyone.
Great question. So, sometimes the Republicans or conservatives will say, government is so corrupt. And I say, great, we totally agree on that, right? And then I want to ask them the simple question, so who corrupted them? And they're like, I agree with you that they're corrupted, but so they took money and now they do the bidding of people. Who was it that gave them that money? Donors, special interests, you're right about that, lobbyists, who mainly represent giant corporations and from time to time, incredibly rich billionaires, okay? So I agree with you that we should fix the people who got corrupted. We should also fix it so that they cannot get corrupted, so they can't get that big money that pours into politics. So Wolfpack is something that all conservatives, libertarians, and liberals should agree on. If you hate crony capitalism, we hate crony capitalism. And you should work with us on making sure we get a democracy. And if you're right that that America is fundamentally conservative, when we get rid of the influence of money in politics, you'll win going forward. Now, of course, we think we're right. You think you're right. Let's have that debate. Let's live in a democracy. Next.
Eddie San Marco asks, the Troubadour show, are there going to be chairs there, or should we just bum rush the stage?
Well, a little of both. I think most of the seats are going to be chairs, but you got to come early to get the chairs, and then there'll be standing room only. And then at no point should you bum rush the stage. But don't worry, I'm going to bum rush you. I'm going to actually go through the crowd with a mic and talk to you guys about saucy and terrible stories you should not tell me. We already did a dry run here in LA. People were admitting that they slept with Pat Sajak's nephew, and they got oral sex from Salman Rushdie's sister. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this show is going to be mental. It's going to be crazy. All right, next.
Not only was it a blowjob from Salman Rushdie's sister, it knocked him out. He passed out because of said blowjob.
Okay, wait till you find out what happens at the main event, May 1st, tytnetwork.com. Go get tickets on TYT Tour tickets. Next.
T asks, do you try new stuff, or are you the kind of person who always orders the same pizza, drink, menu?
So as with all things in life, if you watch the show, I believe in balance, okay? So oftentimes I will get the same thing because I really like it, but every once in a while, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the time, I'll dip my toe in something. Well, that sounds bad when we're talking about food. Okay, but I'll try something. The other night I tried something different and it was terrible. Sometimes that happens, not a big deal. But oftentimes that's how you discover the new thing that you're gonna keep ordering. Always thinking. Next.
Stan Aaron asks, what does that Gladiator battle cry mean? Watching the movie again and thought of the Young Turks during that scene.
What he's actually saying is, and our German friends in the audience have told me that that means, slurp this, it is vitamins. What? No, I'm kidding. That might be another German saying I say. No, it means something along the lines of you dirty dogs. But it didn't work out well for that German barbarian. All right, next.
Vegan Troll asks, would you consider a boycott on the NFL until Dan Snyder changes the racist name of his team?
No. Now, I love you, and I now, of course, recognize that the Redskins name is atrocious. If you can't call someone that, then you shouldn't call a team that. I mean, if you walk up to a Native American and you're like, hey, Redskin, I wouldn't go in that direction, right? You're not going to be able to say it, so they shouldn't name the team that. Am I principled enough to boycott the NFL by myself until they do that? Nope, not that principled. Sorry. Next.
Arib Siddiqui asks, as a high school student who aspires to be an honest politician, what should I do starting now to achieve my goal?
Get out of politics. No. Listen, help us pass Wolfpack, and once we do that, then politics will be considerably cleaner. It never gets fully clean, of course, but clean enough that we can get real laws passed that help the American people. And by the way, it's true. It's not a myth. Between 1930 and 1980, we did not have the influence of money in politics as we do today, and we passed great laws. We passed the Environmental Protection Agency, OSHA, seatbelts. We didn't have a major banking failure for 50 years. You can actually serve the American people, but you got to clean up politics first.
Jake Ryan Calvin asks, where does the Anna is a woman soundboard clip come from?
Anna is a woman.
It's just an angry caller. We used to have an answering machine that Dave Kohler would not answer, of course. He wouldn't answer the phones, and then every once in a while we collect all the angry hate messages and play them on air. The same guy said,
Your host, a Turkish barbarian.
You know what? Come to think of it, maybe we should go back to that system. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. All right, that's it. Kim Horcher, have I mentioned she's lovely and brilliant? Have I mentioned that she's on Nerd Alert? Okay, everybody go to youtube.com/nerdalert. Go.